What's going on, fam, and welcome to another episode of the Art of Visuals podcast. My name is Prince, and I am your host. Today's guest is my man, Will Africano. He's the CMO and founder of Gnarbox. Gnarbox is a creative technology company based in Los Angeles, California. It's backed by an active community of content creators and develops products and solutions to revolutionize the multimedia management experience. Will, welcome to the show.
Prince, thank you for having me, man.
Dude, my pleasure. My pleasure. Why don't you start the AOV community off by letting them know a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you and I have talked a few times, like a big part of what I'm excited to share with this community is just, the company backstory. But personally, I've just had a pretty stereotypical business journey through school, and I've always been passionate about creating things and passionate about problem solving. And I found myself in California where I met co-founder Tim, who and him and I started exploring in the Eastern Sierra. We started to ski. That was what we were passionate about. We were filming out there. We were shooting. And it's kind of when I first started creating. And in the summers, I was backpacking and shooting astrophotography in the Eastern Sierra as well, which was, finding myself in unique situations, unique places. And in that first year here in California, Tim and I exploring mostly and shooting, we just had that problem that I know that problem of just like, it started with like, how do we even do this workflow? How do we actually we captured it, like they make it so easy for us to capture, but how do we actually create beautiful imagery? How do we create compelling stories and video, and even just editing a timeline when nothing is so challenging? So we were working 9 to 5s at the time, and started to learn how to edit, learn how to do data management, learn how to do workflow. And that's where we identified these problems of, we were losing files. We didn't know how to share properly at the end of a shoot. We didn't know how to move data around and through editors and out and put it into post. So our first product that we ended up making out of that whole experience which was Gnarbox, now 1.0 as we call it, which kickstarted, almost 6 years ago. That product was designed for other people going through that experience. That was, how do I edit? And how do I do that in a mobile environment, in a rugged environment, while I'm trying to do another 9 to 5 job? And we were experiencing all these problems. So yeah, we came up with this first product. Turns out a lot of other people had that problem and were drawn to the solution that we created. What we didn't expect, though, is that the people who were drawn to that problem, we're going to be professionals. We're going to be, your community. It was going to be people like you who are working in production 9 to 5. We were thinking the other way around. And while there were a lot of non-professionals purchasing and using Gnarbox One, we had a really loud voice in our initial community, which was, no, I need this for work. I need to be able to back up and do a checksum, and I need to be able to view my images and maybe do some metadata management, all from an iPad or from an iPhone or an Android device while on the go, because I don't want to bring my laptop with me. It was the same problem, but it was a different solution. And so that was the product that so well, which is Gnarbox 2.0 SSD, which came on fully shipping into the market last year. And yeah, it's been a half decade journey to get to one product that we love the first generation Gnarbox still, but the second generation is really that beautiful product that we didn't know was right underneath us the whole time. So it's been a wild journey to get all the way here, I will say. And along that way, we've produced videos together, and we've had a number of commercials, and I've had to learn, everything about photography and videography that I can, whether it's broadcast or wedding or portraits, fashion, documentary work, sports photography. We just have to know it all.
Right.
We just became our obsession, was learning everything we could about workflow, and trying to find the biggest problems and the most intelligent solutions to solving those problems. And that's just what we've been doing now for 6 years.
I love it. So first and foremost, I'm going to definitely come back around to some workflow questions, since you guys are the workflow masters, and we're going to be looking for some workflow tips for all the filmmakers out there. But outside of that, yes, Gnarbox 1.0 was an awesome product. When you were chatting, I was looking back to see, I used to have it sitting behind me. I was seeing if it was back there, but I think I finally put it up in storage or something somewhere in my closet. But rad product. For those people at home, there's a lot of people listening that probably aren't familiar with what the product does. We kind of hopped in and started talking about, the features and various things of Gnarbox, but what is Gnarbox, and who is Gnarbox for?
Oh, it's simple. It's a rugged backup device. Like, this is the category that we created. I mean, it's had various forms over the course of history, but it's now rugged. So it's a rugged backup device. And what that means is, if you need the most reliable way to back up your files while you're still in the field, you buy a Gnarbox. I plug in a card or a card reader. It's got 2 USB-C. It's battery powered, so it's portable. And you just hit a button, and it makes a safe copy of all of your files. It gives you that feedback, and then it runs a checksum. So it uses the checksum algorithm to verify that all of the data has been copied. It tells you, yes, all the data has been copied. And you say, okay, I get that immediate feedback. But where I think we innovated the category, other than just being super rugged and very portable and very fast, we innovated the category by having amazing software. So it has a wireless connection. You can plug a phone or a tablet into it via a Wi-Fi network that's created by the box itself. And then it has a CPU, it has a GPU, it has RAM, and a custom layer of software that just turns it into a computer. So your screen and keyboard is on your phone. All of the files are on your Gnarbox, and I can actually view all of my raw images. I can rate, tag, save them. I can pull them into Lightroom Mobile and edit them if I want, if I need to. And with video, I can actually stream, preview, playback, do things like rename, batch rename all of them, organize them into folders, and even if I have internet available, upload them into the cloud or wherever they need to go. So it's a workflow solution, but once you really get in there, it's a workflow tool in a lot of ways. But at its core, it's a rugged backup device.
Boom. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's really nice not have to be out and lugging your MacBook around with you while you're outside doing whatever you're doing, and worrying about your computer, being put in harm's way while you're crossing a river or jumping off of some moving object or whatever it might be.
Yeah, even just riding the subway, like, it's not a convenient location to, open up a laptop and get something done. Like, if you spend an hour, between shoots in transit, like you're moving, that's an opportunity to get ahead of some work, to manage your files. Or, people do it, whether or not you're willing to admit it, like, not back up on location just because you are crunched for time. It's an exhausting day. So, like, convenience is super key. If you don't have access to power and your laptop's dead, then you don't make a backup. Now you just put it at risk just being in a car. Imagine losing a wedding. Imagine losing
Hold on.
a shoot.
Tell me a horror story. I know you have to have a few good stories of people just not backing up their stuff and losing, like, an actual project.
There's the horror stories that happen when people don't own a Gnarbox that I've heard that compelled them to buy a Gnarbox, and it's usually a wedding. I've heard of whole shoots, just a whole day lost. But I like the happier stories. Like, one of my favorite was, well, it's a sad and happy story. It's good for me because the Gnarbox saved the day, but it was a trip. It was a documentary shoot for a news piece in Mexico, and on a train, a whole backpack was stolen. Luckily, the camera wasn't in there, but the laptop and some clothes were. So the laptop was gone, and so for the next week and a half, the only tool he had for viewing, for backing up and clearing space off his memory cards was a Gnarbox. And it was his first trip with it, so he had his laptop. So he's still, like, getting used to it, and, like, fully in, like, everything, didn't miss a beat, didn't miss the laptop, just, like, was able to clear space, relied on it, made multiple copies with his drives in Gnarbox. And yeah, that was it. Like going forward, he was set, because you just never know when something like that's going to happen.
Right.
So he had a redundancy even in his laptop because of Gnarbox, because it just was like completely replaced the backup system.
Right.
And, for 2 weeks was able to shoot and back up like nothing, no laptop was ever stolen. Now he lost some clothes, but like he bought some clothes.
Let me ask you this. So love that story, but had the Gnarbox been taken, he would have been SOL at that point. And so is there any future plans or current plans for like a Wi-Fi enabled cloud storage backup to where anytime you're on Wi-Fi, Gnarbox connects and begins uploading your stuff to the cloud?
So an auto connection upload would be an awesome feature. Thank you for the feature suggestion. I think we get a lot of them like that. And so it's definitely a good idea. It's currently cloud connected to Dropbox, right? So you can select files and manually upload. And I think, one of the reasons I'm here, as I mentioned today, I reached out to you, was because we're putting a really big software update out and we're overhauling that cloud connectivity, because now more than ever, when people are distributed and more delivery has to take place, not physically handing off drives, but, remotely over the cloud, we've overhauled our entire cloud infrastructure. So that experience is getting so much more reliable and so improved. We're adding another cloud provider in Frame.io. So that's going to be specific for, video and video workflows, which is really exciting. And yeah, we're really excited about just the future that brings. And it kind of, it shows Gnarbox as more than just a drive with a SD slot and a little screen that tells you things are backed up, and shows you that it is a laptop. It can connect to the internet. It can do any of the media management you want. If you're willing to use, or you like to use an iPad for editing, then you could even edit. Like, we're not going to stop that workflow. We enable as many workflows as possible.
Right. I've played with the iPad edit a little bit. It's fun. It is LumaFusion video editing.
LumaFusion is awesome. Yeah, it's super cool.
Oh yeah. And it's like super, the user experience, it's very simple to use. It's very just straightforward. I mean, first time, and I felt good just chopping, cutting stuff up, moving things around, and
it's fun to do it with a pen or with your fingers, just to grab and pull. And like, the user experience is amazing. That team is really awesome. And yeah, it's the best multi-track timeline editor ever made for a mobile device. Like, you can't beat it. And it does connect into Gnarbox, read all the files, and you can make a trim selection. So it's an efficient workflow that we did develop with that team, and one that many of our users do use. And I think like iPad editing and that will continue to play a role for a lot of creators in the future. If you're on a tight deadline, or you just need to do a quick rough cut, or things like XML workflows start to come to mind. Those are developing workflows that I think we'll continue to see develop over the next five years.
For sure. I think it's only going to increase. I know that I've taken a huge step back from my iMac and my MacBook Pro, and I'm using my iPad Pro for pretty much everything. And so as the technology gets better, I could see a lot. And I see it in the field too. Tons of photographers, shooting, pop an SD card reader, USB-C into their iPad, and then start editing right away on the spot, and, pushing content. And so it's a pretty cool workflow. I'm curious to learn more about the Frame.io integration and how that works. So for those at home that aren't familiar with Frame.io is basically it's a video review software. And so basically it's a cloud server. You upload your video, you can share it with your team, clients, everyone can basically leave timestamp feedback. So no more like writing notes and writing 2 seconds and, 2 minutes, 24 seconds, remove the stop sign shot. You can just put all that into Frame.io. You can even export it into like various apps like Premiere, Final Cut with the notes. So it's great for collaborating with multiple people to get feedback on a project, get sign off and all those things. And so what does the integration will allow you to do with Gnarbox 2.0?
Yeah, the integration that we developed with Frame for our users and for their users really is just about getting files into Frame as soon as possible, okay? So that you can start editing and reviewing as soon as possible. All while doing that without a laptop, once again. So it extends that story for more users. So if you say you're a Gnarbox user, but like, oh, I have to get this into Frame from my shoot, and I'm doing this shoot over 3 days, and I'm uploading at a motel or something. I still have, I have to bring my laptop to do that. And now it's just another reason you don't. And the workflow, just so if you haven't done this in Frame, I know from actually you shooting videos for us, setting Frame for comment and review for client review has always been one of the big features and big reasons for video editors to get onto that platform. But what's really cool and what we're really trying to, where we are being a part of the ecosystem is in this kind of non-linear editing system. So this workflow of, if I can give you, whether it's original camera files, proxies that are recorded in camera, or even, ProRes or proxies that are generated on Gnarbox, which you can do. So I can select my videos, I can transcode them using our GPU, CPU, RAM. I can transcode them into a 720p, probably less than 25 megabit per second, proxy, or even a ProRes video. I upload those into Frame. Now, my editor, who's in a different location, can access them. Gotcha. Frame is like the fastest way to deliver video files as well. So if I just need to get files from shoot location to editor as soon as possible, the best way to do that would be to send some proxies. He can start proxy editing. We can sync original camera files later. I can get those to him when we have a good Ethernet stream or just a drive handoff, and he can sync them. But we're talking about saving days, possibly, right. Whether it's mailing files mailing a drive, which is a common way to send at the end of a shoot, sending like mailing drives, handing off drives. These are things that are going to be more challenging, in the new normal that when we start production back up. So it's cool to be a part of this ecosystem. It's really exciting.
Yeah, no, most definitely. And that's such a great use case. I had no idea that the Gnarbox could transcode footage into the various proxy files and things.
Yeah, it's actually a really powerful feature that doesn't get as talked about. Sometimes we like I was saying, like there's so many problems of creatives out there, right. and there's so many different workflows that like we have a lot of features, and sometimes it's hard to prioritize and highlight all of the features until you get in there and you start using it and you find a way for it to work in your workflow. Most people use it for file redundancy, for making copies on location, getting those fast, convenient backups. But features like uploading to the cloud, transcoding are really powerful as well, and can open up the workflow into kind of new places, new spaces. So nice. We're super excited about this, and these are the types of things we love working on. We get to work with cool partners. We get to make awesome solutions. We get to code hard software, and at the end of the day, it just makes this product that we started shipping 6 months ago, even a new product 6 months later, with new software.
Right. So you're talking about it has like an awesome graphics card in there. It sounds like, are you guys using like the Intel XR5Z, or is it the Dragonfly Snapo?
We actually just have kind of a low power Intel CPU and GPU in there. It probably wouldn't be one that you'd recognize because it's not a typical laptop or desktop chipset. It's more of a mobile chipset, and that's to keep it battery powered, to keep it what it is. But what we do to the secret sauce, now you're getting into it. the secret sauce here is that we get more out of our chips because of our software. It's all custom, it's all custom software. We have our own operating system, you know what I mean? So we're not talking about then putting a Windows on top of it and,
that's pretty rad. You got
OS.
Your own OS.
We have our own OS.
I feel like you made it. I feel like you made it when you have your own OS.
We made it.
Dude, you're such a rock star for answering that question. I was so full of BS. I just made all those words up. Snap, Dragonfly, CPU, GPU.
I didn't know the Intel one. I was like, I don't know what he's talking about.
But shout out to Intel.
But
they're epic, and I'm glad you're using their chips.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know what GPU is. He's really into the tech.
I just like messing with people. Every now and again, I'll just say something and then they'll just roll with it. Like, yeah, exactly.
Just move past your tech questions and just get to the answer.
Tell me a little bit about the Gnarbox Pro Team. What's that all about?
The Gnarbox Pro Team is a vital component of our product development lifecycle. Like more than, yes, great marketing, great relationships to have in any industry, but these people are putting Gnarbox to the truest tests, before we release our products. They're giving us the best feedback that we could ever get, more than anything we can do. Sometimes, when you're developing products, it's really like one of the biggest risks is you're in a kind of closed box, right?
Yep.
So we get into our office and we're grinding, and especially going towards product launches, like long hours, and you don't have time to go out and shoot. We don't have time to. We have people in our office that do take paid gigs outside of Gnarbox for photo and video work. We hired people to help guide our product development that play support and marketing roles at our company. Like that was a core part of building our business was us acknowledging Tim and I, acknowledging we don't know a lot about, like I said, we aren't from here originally. So let's hire some people that are. And they were really important, but also they get sucked into our little, our little chamber of our little noise chamber, our box. And the pro team takes those ideas, puts them to the test, put them in the field, and validates. A lot of times, I hope it's validation more than failure, but failure too.
Right.
And we love when it's like, this didn't work. You need to do this. Guys like Glenn Lavender, maybe you know him or maybe you don't, but amazing. Like he just loves Gnarbox. Like he'll take a beta product and do a month-long trip through India with no computer. Like he's willing to do that and teach workshops and rely only on Gnarbox. It's incredible. And the feedback we get is amazing. Stan Moniz, these guys are like they just get after it.
He had me on Facebook today.
He's such a good guy. Michael Clark will take it to, he took it to Everest on his first trip and shot like the first female Sherpas or some crazy, shoot that I could never dream of having. He's like such an amazing photographer, and the work he gets is amazing. And he teaches people, every year he teaches so many amazing up and coming photographers. And we're just honored to have them adopt our product. But usually it's just because, and this is a rule for us, it has to be because they need it. So it's the ultimate validation. Like if these folks have to have it, then we did something right.
I dig it. You guys are definitely big into community. You guys got some great photographers you guys are working with. I see you guys oftentimes at events, got to hang out with Matt not too long ago at Cando last year. And it was good to catch up with him and meet some of the other guys on the Gnarbox team. What else are you guys doing in the community these days? Yeah,
I mean, community, like I said, those guys, the pro team is a piece of the community. I think that the larger community of our users are organized in our Facebook group, the Gnarbox Insiders, super active. Like they'll tell us when something is bad. they'll tell us a lot of times when something is bad too. And we listen and we log it, and we, sometimes, we just do our best not get beat up over things and just stay focused on the big picture of what's the most important stuff we can do? What's the most important products we can develop that deliver valuable solutions? And that's the biggest thing our community does, for us. And what we do for the community is try and just put out better products. Like, that's the biggest exchange, is just the exchange of ideas. We're all remote. It's all digital. I love when we can get to events and trade shows. Unfortunately, that's something we don't get to do this year. And so we're just always looking for new ways to connect and create new spaces for folks to talk, exchange ideas. Like, that's what it always comes down to, that wherever we are in our business life cycle, or where we are in the industry and in the world, like, the exchange of ideas is what it's always about. And it's problem solutions. That's what we're always deciphering and learning.
All right. So what's the overall, like, big vision? What's the 10,000 foot vision for Gnarbox?
There's a lot of answers to that question. I wish I could talk about some of the crazy fun ideas we have when it comes to, like, product roadmap, and where we want to take, hardware, where we want to take software. Like I've probably said now a few times, it always comes down to, what are the biggest problems in our market? What are the most cutting edge technologies that we can use, that we can develop, usually combining, we're technology agnostic, but usually combining software and hardware. That's what we always think is the most powerful thing, is if we can control the hardware all the way through the software. It's the hardest thing. I don't know why we decided that, but it's just because it's the best, maybe. But if we can make hardware, beautiful software, and we combine those things to, provide new solutions, then, it's going to continue to stay focused on creatives as our primary focus, for sure. That's always going to be it. We want to just keep growing. We want to be able to sustain, this business and have an awesome community of the people in this office and distributed workforce. Really, now, the people we get to work with is really, the pride and joy, the day-to-day beauty, and then also just being able to make customers, like, say, this is a product that I wish I had 10 years ago, and thank you for finally making it. Like, I had this idea too. Cool. Yeah, we got the idea from you. Like, that's how it works. We hear it. Like, we're talking to folks and they're giving us all of our ideas. It's perfect. So we'll just keep doing that. Like, it's a grind, it's a cycle, but it's the one we enjoy. Like, we're in it. We're in the beautiful part of it.
It's all about
the goal is here. Like, we're on it.
You're in the process,
keeps moving and going to the next version of it.
Yep. So a competitor for you guys might be like the Lacey, was it the Copilot, or what is that thing's called?
Totally. Yeah.
What's the difference?
That's a good question. The Lacey Copilot came out after our first gen product, which was cool. We were already working on the 2.0, and there was a string of products, the WD, My Passport Wireless, Pro SSD, and the Lacey DJI Copilot that was more specifically designed for drone, land a drone, plug it into an iPad. It has no Wi-Fi. That's a difference. Plug it in via wire. If you forget your wire, you're out of luck. And do the backup and use the app to view the videos. That was how that product came out. But the big difference, more than anything, is like, we're very intensely focused on innovating rather than just iterating on, like, what already is out there. Like, we're aggressively making a very premium product that has very real technical solutions for working professionals, not just for anybody who owns a drone or anybody who owns a GoPro. Like, we're very singularly focused on, you have work, you get paid for what you do. We're creating solutions that are going to put time and money back into your pocket, whether it's through hardware, whether it's through software. And, on the product level, if you really want to know, ours is half the size. It's more durable. Like, it's faster. You can plug a hub and multiple drives and do one read and run multiple copies at super high speeds, running checksums and getting MHL logs.
Right.
Oh, those are features in the new software that's coming out. But yeah, that's, where you're able to do all these things, the multiple copies, to do video preview, to do transcoding, to do cloud uploads. Like those are all unique to Gnarbox.
So that Lacey Copilot, it's like Gnarbox 1.5.
Yeah.
It's like it does more than the 1.0, doesn't do nearly what the 2.0 does, and it just kind of lands somewhere in the middle. But you guys have always kind of been out front as far as the technology goes and feature benefits for creators.
Yeah. I mean, we've all owned lots of LaCie drives.
Dude, I was a LaCie fan my whole life until I had one bad episode where I lost like 5 in a day. Like 5 drives all at one time. They were like all plugged into some USB hub, and they just somehow every single drive got zapped. And then like the drive gods that I reached out to were like, it'll be somewhere between like 1,800 and like 10 grand. I was like, oh yeah, I'll figure it out.
Dude, I mean, I think it's a good looking product. We've seen them in awesome photos. Like we use LaCie drives in a lot of our marketing just because like that orange bumper is like a staple of our industry of users. It doesn't mean it's the most reliable though. And when it comes to the actual copying, that's a big point of failure. You need to know if a file has been corrupted. When you copy files, you don't copy it to the drive, then erase your card. You either keep your card or you copy it you'd make 2 copies. You'd copy it to a different destination. A checksum, you need to be able to view the files. You need to be able to run a checksum. You need to know that there was 0 corruptions. If you copy to the drive and erase and there was a corruption, you don't know about it, you're going to copy that corruption over to wherever you're editing. And so, I mean, I think I'm getting a little heated about that, but you can see it's like people don't always think about all these things. And, we're thinking about those things. And that's the biggest difference, is that we're really singularly focused on professionals. We're really singularly focused on workflow and backup and making sure things are as reliable as possible. And we're less concerned, believe it or not, we're less concerned with, how many drives we're going to flip in a given quarter. It's like we obviously care because it's the survival and bloodline of us being able to make more solutions, to make more products if we keep selling and we keep doing well. But we're going to keep doing well if we make the best solution. That's our philosophy. So we're focused on that. Not what copper is trading at or something, like what they're trading commodities. And you need someone who's developing technology, not trading commodities, to make these types of solutions. We're pushing the market forward, and that's the biggest piece of it.
Front runners right there, baby.
Hopefully they make another one.
Competition's good. That's for sure. It keeps you guys. I'm all about it. Keeps you guys on your toes. You guys have the superior product, so there's nothing to worry about. But competition is the best. Yeah, especially as the consumer.
And like software is where I think we will always be able to win. But I will say that our latest, the 2.0 hardware is awesome. Like we have awesome industrial designers. It's a really good looking product.
It is.
And I think that goes a long way too. I mean, we're all aesthetic. Like we care about what the gear looks like, right? It's
come a long way from 1.0 to 2.0. Like as far as just like the design goes, the exterior design, it's night and day. 2.0 is sick.
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
And 1.0, for whatever reason, will always have a special place. I always remember, the green triangles, I don't know, dude. Just it'll always have an image in my mind.
It's nostalgia.
Yeah.
I mean, how many I have like laying around in different corners I come across, and I just take it in, a little sigh, like, oh, it's so good. But if you have ever had to go back and use it, it's nothing where 2.0 is. You can't use it. It's almost unusable now. It's like our files are too big. It's like a hard drive still. The software is so much better. Yeah. Like everything's so much faster. Like that's everything. That fluidity that you get in an app experience, we take for granted sometimes. And when you ever are met with a clunky experience, you don't use it. And that's where the hardest part is. That's where we do really well.
So we're getting to the end of the episode here, Will. I'd love for you to share some workflow tips for creators out there. So there's a lot of creators that don't have a backup workflow. What would you recommend for the average, let's just say, freelancer, small, multi-person production team? What's a good framework for, backing up client work or personal work?
Yeah, I mean, this does get challenged at times, but the tried and true is always 3, 2, 1. And, is that right for you?
Yeah, so I'm sorry, I'm just letting you do. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You're like, where's my backup, bro? You got.
I was like expecting. I was being like, yeah, absolutely. So the tried and true, like always, is 3, 2, 1. Mm-hmm. And our second software release was with NAS integration. Okay, so network attached storage. If you're using drives to manage all of your, archives and backups, if you're just using a bunch of drives in a box or stacked up, you might be thinking, well, I should get a RAID, right? I should get a RAID array. That's really common. We see a lot of people do that. We're into network attached storage. You can RAID that as well, by the way, because it is the fastest way for you to take files that you took in the field, put them into the 3, 2, 1 workflow. So three copies of your files. You're going to want 2 media types. So you need to put it into, whether it's NAS or RAID or whatever it is. And then also an offsite copy. So the cloud is really the best way. And the beauty of network attached storage is just that it's connected to the network. So it's the fastest way for you to kind of complete that workflow. And with Gnarbox, we built that integration. We worked, with Synology and the folks over there to just test it and put it to test. And they love, 3, 2, 1 is their entire company, everything. So
and they make great products.
Make amazing products. And making sure we kind of fit into that workflow is a big part of what we do. But for anyone that isn't doing that right now, just start there. That's the place to start. You can Google it and you'll find exactly what you need to do. But it's easy, and you just need to think about those things. And I think that has evolved from all of the mistakes that could happen. I think the most obvious one that maybe has come to mind in recent pop culture has been like the Tiger King. Is like the guy.
Oh my goodness!
The studio down. Yes. He didn't have an offsite copy. Like the guy, like how did you not have that in the cloud? How did you not have a copy of your hard drives in another location? Like you can copy, you can have a physical server if you don't want to use the cloud. You can just have drives and just like put them into a lockbox or the trunk of your car or a storage unit. Like, whatever it is, just have it in 2 different places because you just never know. Like a house getting burnt down is a thing that you don't plan for, like a pandemic. Like you don't plan for these things always. And they come and they happen and they change your world. You lose whole TV shows. Like 3 years of work can just be gone. Your entire body of work can just be gone.
And don't keep hard drives, like when you're done with them, put them in a safe place. I've had friends, lady friends get purses stolen with production backups on there that, and it's important to keep. That's why it's important to have the multiple backups too, in case you do have your hard drive with you and your bag gets stolen, you still have multiple backups that you can, check into.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, that's an easy framework and like invest in that. Invest in it. We forget to invest in it. We invest in cameras, lenses, lighting. Like we iterate. We buy new, like what's the hottest thing? What's the newest thing? But like have a good backbone, have a good data infrastructure for your business.
Yeah.
If you don't have that, you don't always know what people don't tell you. The first thing is, you never know when a client's going to call you 5 years later and ask for that one image, but it happens. And you're like, well, where is it? Oh, I erased that drive. Like you just never know. Have good software to archive it, whether it's Photo Mechanic or, just how you manage your catalogs and libraries or things like Kino are awesome. Great software for video that can search through and find what you need in different locations. So develop that. That's the backbone, man. That's the backbone of the business, is just moving data. It's bytes at the end of the day.
Right. And that's super. I think there's a certain amount of responsibility too. Like once you bump into the freelancer, like once someone's paying you and you're working with their stuff, there's a certain amount of responsibility when it comes to backing up and making sure that you have the correct backup devices, you're using the correct process, and that your bases are covered, because I've heard lots of horror stories, of people just losing big jobs, big money, losing relationships because of, for whatever reason, a hard drive fell into the water and that was all they had. And so it's important.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about getting hired again, getting a recommendation, not having a bad review. I mean, it could really hurt you if you overlook that side of things.
Right. So to wrap things up, Will, we normally end with our guests leaving the AOV community with some words of inspiration. And so whatever you want to leave the audience with, feel free to, there's a lot going on right now. There's probably a ton of different things you could say, but whatever feels right, feel free to let them hear it.
Absolutely. This is one I always tell other young entrepreneurs and starting businesses, but that's what, being a creator is too. We have our own businesses. So I'll share it with this community, which is to learn to embrace failure. Fail fast, fail often, because that's where we learn. That's you have to reflect on that failure, and it's going to make you great. Like that's what we learned doing what we do. I know many others have. Don't be afraid of it. It's going to happen. Learn to love it.
Boom. Ladies and gentlemen, Will Africano. Be sure to check them out on social media. You guys are at Gnarbox everywhere, correct? Gnarbox at Gnarbox on all the social channels. Be sure to check out their website, gnarbox.com. Check out Gnarbox 2.0 SSD. And be sure to follow at Art of Visuals and share this with your friends, families, brothers, sisters, loved ones, all that good stuff, And if you guys have any other brands that you guys love and you'd love to hear from your favorite brands, let me know. Send me a DM personally at Wonderboy Prince, and I'll be sure to holler at them and get to sharing their story. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next time.